Hi, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the program manager for the UX Writer Conference, and that's coming up October 6th and 7th, and it's everywhere because it's online, so you can get to it from wherever you're at without having to expend much additional activity, and we have a lot of great speakers. Registration's open, and one of the fun things I get to do is talk to our speakers, and right now I'm talking with Erika Spoden. Hello, Erika. How are you?
Hey, Joe. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I am at my home office. Where are you talking to us from?
I am also talking to you from my home, my cloffice, I call it, because I converted a closet into an office. So,
And what part of the world is your cloth cloth?
I am west of Seattle in a little enclave called Bremerton. So,
All right. Well, I've been there, and I live on Vashon Island, and we're not too far away from each other. But it's good to have you in the conference program. Looking forward to that. And yeah, there's just to learn a little bit more about you. So a good place to start is always if you talk a little bit about your background and your career path and what you're up to now.
okay. Well, I should probably start by saying that I have been writing forever and reading even longer than that, which is sort of indirectly how I got into UX writing. I have a very particular master's degree in English and gender studies, and I use that to kind of eventually springboard myself into UX research after 6 years spent in education in 3 different countries. And I'm a I think of myself still with the writing, with the research as a human problem solver. And, currently I am doing a bit of freelancing. I'm doing a little bit of work with the Muckleshoot tribe to look at how they're teaching language throughout their tribal community, which is pretty cool. And, just keeping myself open to other, writing and research opportunities.
And for the, you mentioned that you'd been involved in, what was it, teaching that you were doing before that?
Yeah, I taught for 6 years. My last teaching was for 3 years in Japan. I worked at a couple of Japanese universities, and it was actually that experience that really got me into UX writing, although at the time I did not know that that's what it was called. Just, kind of, plain speech, not a lot of adjectives, and just, keep the verbal commands really, really direct. I found that that helped a lot, which is, it was kind of like I had to adapt, my entire like teaching style because I'm kind of naturally effusive and adjective driven. But, that can be very confusing for a group of students. So you just, you learn more of a plain speech. So.
Well, yeah, so that was been a fun opportunity to be doing that. You were doing that, that was in Japan that you were working on that?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, well, that's pretty exciting. What are some of the things that you're up to now with the you mentioned you were working with Muckleshoot. What are some of the things that come up often in your work, types of activities that you get involved in?
Probably the thing that comes up in my work most often is, people go into, writing for a website or an app, and it's almost like the initial drafts are always really text heavy, which I always find kind of surprising because, I don't actually think that most people write heavily. I think that, we learn, even in like, high school when we're doing essays, like, let's just like get this done. But it's almost like, because like the drive behind a website is always so important. It's always like we've got to make sure that like all of the words are like, exact and from the heart. And, truthfully, I find what I do a lot of is just, paring down. It's like, I don't know if you, do you remember the movie A River Runs Through It?
Hmm.
Okay, so there's that scene that I absolutely love where very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt is learning how to write the American language. And he does this exercise where he'll write out a first draft of an essay and he'll take it to his dad, who's his teacher, and his dad will say like half as long. And he has him do that like at least 3 times. And I feel like I end up kind of doing that a lot. And it's not just, like reducing adjectives and keeping it clear, but it's just, making sure, to the person writing it, it's always 100% clear, right? But it's like conveying that like your idiolect is not necessarily going to be comprehensive to everyone else. In fact, probably not. So yeah, I do a lot of, we'll call it like Episcopalian style paring down of text. So.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of that as well for my writing students, but I also have the a proviso that goes along with it that writing half as much content takes twice as long, because
Yep.
I find there's a lot more craft involved when you have to go to micro content.
Yeah, that certainly is the case. So
we'll talk about your conference topic next, but in a minute. But are there any particular things going on that you're passionate about? Any fun things or work-related things?
Well, I am really interested in my work with the Muckleshoot community. It seems, I, as someone who's been on Duolingo for a few years, and as someone who's, learned, tried to learn a couple of languages, I find it really important that like we not let the language tradition die, that, we shouldn't just accept that like English is everywhere and like let that be the final word. So, I am hoping that that'll lead to other work, ideally with other tribal communities, especially those whose languages are endangered. And, I guess in terms of fun stuff, I mean, I'm definitely a nerd. So like my idea of fun usually involves curling up with a good book and, good books, good movies. That is one thing that this time has been good for. It's just, getting me back to words more and making me think just how many ways there are to express yourself. So, yeah.
You mentioned to me earlier that you were working through kind of a canon of books, and right now you're on Finnegans Wake.
So I haven't started it yet, but I plan to this weekend. So I have decided to give myself a really nerdy project of reading Finnegans Wake, because I might never have a better opportunity than right now when I'm at home a lot and thinking about, authors in a really different way. And so I decided what I would do is I would read Finnegans Wake, and that ideally every day or every couple of days, I would do kind of a Leslie Jordan style, like, minute-long segment that I'd call, we'll say, Waking Finnegan, and just explain, like, this is what I understood from the book this week. This is what I think it means. Tune in next time. And I thought that would be a way to make sure that I get through the book. And, I forget where it is on the MLA's top 100 works of fiction list, but it's been a challenge for a long time. And I just kind of decided, what better time than now? So.
Yeah. No, it sounds like fun, fulfilling activity to work on. So I'll have to check in with your Instagram in next month and see where you got with that. I do want to talk about your conference presentation. So your topic title is The Old Man and the Great Gatsby, How to Simplify Descriptive Content and Still Spin a Good Yarn. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be presenting.
Well, I like to feel canonical when I do work like this, and it's nice to have presented that topic to you and have you go, that's a great idea. I'm really interested in that. So, thank you first for indulging me. I just decided that I think most people are familiar with Hemingway and Fitzgerald as, great American authors. But I think, more than that, what we need to be looking for them to is the fact that they do such great things so differently. In fact, I think that Fitzgerald would have made a terrible UX writer, because I'm not really sure that he'd ever take his, beautiful descriptions of men's shirts and coastlines and how women look at a party. Whereas I think Hemingway would have actually been very good as a UX writer, because, maybe it was his journalistic background, maybe it was his numerous, death-defying feats, but, there's a very big difference in how Hemingway told a story and how Fitzgerald did it. And I'm kind of interested in how, we might, for those of us that are really attached to adjectives, how might we kind of like gradually wean ourselves and still fundamentally get the message across in a really direct way. So that's sort of where that topic came from.
It sounds like it should be a lot of interest to a lot of our attendees, and so look forward to having you at the event, and thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to me about this.
Oh, my pleasure.